Happy Monday.
Hola, 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 hola. And happy Monday. It's the season of the solar cast. They say they're gonna do one thing, then they don't. It's a shame, dog, holding this a piece, but now I know who the fuck I'm
Messing with.
It's a new
Got the
chapter,
Ray
so
Charles
it's
glasses on.
page. Lick that thumb, then I gotta get the rage. I transmute every energy that I see, then I just push them away like Jack Nicholson. Oh my E, got the fucking smear face on my TV. I need to wipe away the old energy, so I jump in the TUB and take a couple shower seat. So I'm washing on my armpits, then I'm seeing cats trying to chug on my own sleeves, trying to say, Zoe, please don't leave. Now I know
How special that you eat.
I take a little Tums dog out to sea. Got the little bottle of the honey with the fucking QTs. Then I got the scissors, then I got the purple anesthesia. Then I put it on my third eye.
Then the disappear. Looking like Darcy.
Street Fighter 3 all the way to DMC. I'm a mystery down to volume 1 to the 2, then the 3, then we on to the gotta geese. Yes, sir.
I'm Marty McFly.
On the hoverboard, watch me rise. And then you tried to grab on my socks, and then I got it. It's that quantum leap, and that's why these cats don't wanna hear me speak. I'm the TRUTH. Every time I'm in the building, and they say get away. Like I'm contagious, majors. I don't give a shit because I be raging the name. See, that's real and steady. You always got the beats, that's why you always gotta be. History, gotta be. This is basically my legacy. Every time I'm on your TV, I'm a household name, putting cats down to shame. Why is a cat still yanking on my chain? Hold up, hit him with the pump feed, then I gotta hit him with the toaster all beat. It's like white man can't jump, that's why I'm on the basketball court. Something me and Woody Harrelson got you dang giving gee. Oh my god, it's the low battery. So we just going to pretend you about to pull out $1 billion on my menu. Oh no, gang. I ain't on all the gang. All I do is all that G.O.D. man. And I got the hard changes in the family like goddamn. Man down face. Tangle with cast on the premature lakes. I'm that baby baby. That's why you always want to know that I'm great. Yeah.
I figured I'd give you guys a little, uplifting fucking intro. How was that? A little Ray Charles. What the day, and happy Tuesday, I believe, right? Shit, let me check the date, make sure it's Tuesdays. Yes, it's happy Taco Tuesdays, 11/15, November 18th on my planet. Whew. Had some good old Chick-fil-A earlier. Kind of broke my own rule. Me and my brother had to hit Chick-fil-A afterwards. And phew, haven't had Chick-fil-A in a minute. Super dank. But even though we know about the fast foods, right? Well, I don't want to cause any more anxiety. We don't need to add any more anxiety to the anxiety state of existence in some areas that we're experiencing now as a collective. Make sure we get that off the screen. There we go. Whew. But first and foremost, it's your boy Dog. Welcome back to another episode at No Filter, the realest show ever. Think differently and daily motivation. It's like a freestyle video because I wasn't attempting to do a video tonight. But you know how our ancestors get. They keep on putting that image in our head, and our higher self is sitting in the throne like, all right, now, I'm giving you this reoccurring message. It's time for you to speak it to our children. So I guess I'm just going to give you guys what I went through today, and hopefully this will help for future generations to learn from just life in general. I'll label it like that. Because life could a lot of things can fit underneath the umbrella of life. And for my topic today is going to be bouncing around between family and just what I'm seeing in my new chapter and, more boundaries and so forth. So that's the umbrella we're on, just in case this video happens to cut out. We'll do a part two when I get back to you. So basically today, in these last few days, I've been presented by God to work more with my family and to create more trust within myself to get outside of my hobbit hole, my hermit mode, and to get ready for the next chapter, which is dealing more with the world in a physical sense, versus just between this Captain Kirk screen that we have been communicating with for years. So now it's time for me to take that next Peter footstep of faith on the water, walk into the real world. And now God is testing me like a mug about trusting. And I've said to you all multiple times, I don't trust a lot of my family because of communication. And communication is key to everything, I believe. It solves a lot of issues. It gets a lot of the gray areas out of the way. And we're just transparent with each other. And I've noticed, and I have continuously noticed, that the more transparent you are, you're going to have a lot of people that don't like that about you. And then they have narratives about you and so forth. Like, hence today, in the last few days I've been getting with my family. It's like going back in time because I've been isolated so long. My energy is just super vibrating high, right? And there's no knock. It's just what it is, right? And then when I'm finding myself getting back involved with family, it's like going back in time to old issues that I already eliminated. And this is where I'm at, is because I don't want to abandon family to feel good. And my mission as a chosen one is to heal and to unite people and to be a generational curse breaker. So if I abandon this, meaning my family, and their toxic ways that I find toxic, then I would feel internally that I abandoned a mission that was needed for me to authentically say to my next generation that I actually healed a family and not have that stereotypical story of, well, I did my damnness and they just wouldn't see eye to eye, so I moved on. And I'm learning how to keep my calm when I'm in these situations and how to keep balanced versus my old reactions. And I'm doing good, but towards the end of the night tonight, first of all, to the world, my father's in the hospital, so send all your prayers and loving and confirmation, bitches. Confirmation, bitches, I meant to say, but I was attempting to say something else. So send your prayers and loving frequencies because that's what I've been going through these last few days is being there for my family, and I was at that precipice of I wasn't gonna go. I was like, yo, honestly, I was like, yo, fuck my family. I felt like all the hell I went through, nobody was there to support me. And their narrative was just like, all right, hands up, Alonzo's crazy. That's the narrative. And I don't respect that at all. And tonight I was talking to some family members, and it just took me back to a point that I didn't like, me defending myself. And like a family member asked me, what do I do for work? And I laughed at first because it's just like, I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm working for God now. And she really didn't know how to respond. I was like, and then my logical brain was like, all right, just let her know I'm a landscaper. And I also work for God and I have a podcast to let people know that you can do anything with God in your life. Hence last year I was homeless and I was going through a lot of, I was about to say midlife crisis. I guess I can label it like that. I was going through a lot of decision making because I wasn't happy with the results at my current state that I was in last year and a few years back. So I was doing a lot of internalizing, deep shadow work to see why I was getting these results in life and why I wasn't happy. And I had to go through an isolation period, like biblical terms, 40 days and 40 nights, I had to be tempted to see who I am, what I'm about, what I stand for when I'm separated from the company that I was surrounded by. And then during that period, it let me know that God's more powerful than I've ever imagined. And I was sleeping on God most of my life. And even when I was sleeping on God, God was always with me. So it was a lot of revealing moments that I had during those isolation periods of figuring out who I was. Hence, when I voice who I am daily and I know fully who I am, and when I find myself defending who I am with my family, I immediately stop, because it's not for me to keep on doing this, explaining myself for people that intentionally misunderstand me. So it was like after I saw my dad, I had a heart-to-heart talk with him to let him know, you know what I mean, because everything's in God's hands. So I broke down and started crying and had the bubbly nose and all that, because I was, you know, I was finding myself faking the funk and avoiding certain things. But before I went to the hospital, I told my other brother, I was like, hey, man, I may need a moment with Pops, you know what I'm saying? And so he granted that. And when I was sitting there, I just told him, you know, how much I loved him and how much of a great father he is, and how I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for his knowledge and guidance. And I wanted him to know that he's not perfect, and we're not meant to be perfect, because God doesn't want us to be perfect. God just wants us to be the best version we possibly can daily, right? And to admit when we make mistakes, and to repent for our sins, and to correct what we can while we can, and not make excuses for why we're not changing what we know is a problem. So I found myself, before I broke down and told him how I really felt, because I felt like I've already said this to him before. But then I knocked out that logical rationalization and just said, fuck it, you know, I'm going to tell him exactly what's coming from the heart. And that I want him to know that, you know, you've done a great job, and I don't want you to have any regrets, because we live and we learn, right? We all make mistakes, but we're here now, and let's make the best out of it. And I want you to have more faith, and I want you to pray more, because honestly, we're at this state now, you know what I mean? I told him, I'm not going to lie to you, we're just at this state now. And we need to believe more in faith, and that God always got us. And to bring back your inner child, and remember the good times you used to have when you're a child. You know, anytime you get nervous, then start bringing up good memories, and that will help alleviate the nervousness, and it'll help you get closer to God by bringing back your inner child. And so I was talking to him about that, and I was using my healing powers to, you know, bestow upon him as much healing abilities that I can, you know. And it was a very good night. And then towards the end of the night, I had some more family members call me, and was talking about some personal things. And at first I was calm, and I was just letting my brother and my other family member talk. And then I was hearing them talk, and I'm a firm believer in what we say off our tongues. It's either life or death. Scarcity, lack, mentality, all that stuff. And I was hearing a lot of lack and scarcity, and they were, you know, manifesting their own reality. But at the same time, they were attempting to force me in that situation, in their negative reality. Not to say it in that sense. It was a very important topic we were all discussing, but their viewpoints on the outcome of certain things was very negative versus optimistic, which I believe firmly in. Believe in God, anything's possible, you know what I mean? I don't believe what's written on paper. You know what I mean? I'm a spiritual person, and a lot of my family's not spiritual. You know, they're religious, which is their free will. No knock on no one who's religious, but it's very challenging at times when people ask you questions that they know will trigger you about your spirituality, and you need to read more of the Bible. It's just a lot of just pigeonholing that got me agitated towards the end of the night, and I got a little Incredible Hulkish and cussed them both out because I was defending another family member of mine. I was like, hey, this is going to be straight, bada bing, stop with this negative stuff and stop bringing me involved in this. And I just felt my energy getting agitated and siphoned. And then when I spoke my mind, then she was like, oh, well, you're crazy, you need a medication. I was like, that's the same whack-ass narrative when I addressed you about are you an agent or not, then you want to just say I'm crazy and laugh at my question. You know what I mean? It's just there's a lot of things that agitate me when I ask someone a question about something that I'm highly concerned about, and then they dismiss it like I'm crazy, and then they go into asking another question like they're not concerned about me. So I'm highly grateful for God showing me once again through this loving, at times stubborn head of mine, big heart and stubborn mind of mine at times, who really cares for my well-being and who doesn't, and who has alternative motives, and who just sweeps my issues under the rug like that ain't nothing, and they have their own identity about me, which is an older version which relies anyways, right? But I'm just saying they just want to keep me in a box, and I'm so glad that God is repositioning me in this family dynamic so I can utilize my different perspective and see who's who and what people are really about. And that's what I'm grateful for. And at the same time, I was questioning God throughout the night. When I was like, man, why is this? Why am I even involved in this family, man? Why? Why? And then I had to readjust my questioning. And I knew why, because I'm strong enough for this dynamic to be able to take all of these energies and to transmute it into something positive so I can change the family dynamic due to what I'm going through. So like it just makes you stronger and it gives you different perspectives and it helps you maintain your energy versus how I was raised, which is no excuse. I was just very short-tempered and hot-headed, so it's like it seemed like we would all in our family talk over one another, so that led to more agitation, which led to who talked the loudest proved the point, to getting physical, and it led to like hands and feet to get the point across. And that's so backwards on how to resolve things that I was subconsciously doing that most of my life. Like if I felt like my diplomatic approach didn't work, then it came to like insulting, and then it came to like fighting, and it just seemed like that was stapled in my reaction. And throughout the years, I learned, talking is the best, loving, killing with kindness, expression, killing with kindness, or leading always every situation with love, versus hate. Then you're always going to have a better outcome because you're just representing God's core values, which is always loving one another, right? Because we're all one consciousness. So like these last few days has been helping me out tremendously to see exactly where I stand in my position, knowing I'm the chosen one, and I'm not going to let no one change my narrative because of their beliefs, as bad as I love them and so forth. It's just, this is another chapter of building more armor, so we're not going to be misled again by people just wanting to utilize my light. And then once I'm out of the picture, then this obsession happens, and then you know the story. I just want to be left alone. I just want people to really This is good. It's so delicious. By the way, this is brought to you by Boom Sticky. If your nostrils are ever clogged up, sinuses, and you need to breathe properly and release that sinus pressure that can cause sinus headaches and so forth. And if you want a good jolt to your brain, to awaken your brain and your thoughts for more clarity, I highly recommend looking into Boomstick. We'll get you there. Or follow Dr. Mandel. Dr. Mandel on YouTube has a plethora of health tips and healthy lifestyle advice that we can all utilize for self-healing versus spending a lot of our money on these pharmaceuticals that don't do a dick. Besides, be a placebo half the times. Or they're the reasons why you end up in the hospital half the times. If you know, you know. So natural remedies is the way to go, in my opinion. So, you just find yourself at times when you get into dynamics that you prayed yourself out of, but then God wants you to recircle the block, I guess, or re-intervene in these scenarios to test our growth, to see how we're going to respond, and to see how people respond to you. So it's a lot of life is nothing but like layers to it. If you know, you know. It's like we go through life, one journey, to get the frequency of how everything works to a degree. Like how to interact with people, right? What's the laws or the lays of the land, if I'm saying that right? What's the lay of the land? Like how do we acclimate to this situation? How do we socialize with each other without being barbaric? What's the settings? What's the rules, you know? So like in our first journey in life when we're younger, when we're born and we get to about 7 years old, which is like the indoctrination phase, they say. It takes 7 years for you to be taught to be controlled, you know? It's like it takes 7 years for you to form your habits so other people can manipulate you. Indoctrination, but that'll be another time for another topic. So, like, let's just call that the first leg of life, you know what I mean? Within them 7 years, you get accustomed to how everything operates to a degree. And where was I getting with that? Let me see. Okay. Yeah, that's what it is. Basically, I was talking about indoctrination. It takes about 7 years for us to be taught our habits, so the systems that be can control us easier, right? Because this society, if there wasn't any laws or rules, it would be chaos, right? It would be anarchy because everybody would be doing what they want to. So this planet does need a guideline of rules to keep everything in order. I'm not knocking that. I only knock when people abuse their powers and they prevent people from growing and becoming themselves due to the fact of money, greed, and enviness and envy and jealousy. And so a lot of that gets into play, hence us as the new 144 5D true leaders of this planet are ushering in a new mentality on how to think and how to work with one another and not use greed and envy or jealousy to control one another. We should all work as one consciousness so we can work with the planet versus against it. And that's always been my goal once I figured out what my purpose was in life, you know, because when you go through your first leg of the journey, that's what I was talking about. I was talking about legs of the journey. But I may forget the main gist of this. The downloads come in like that. So once we go through our first leg of the journey, hopefully we're learning how to operate the proper way. So we can make this planet last longer versus robbing this planet of its resources. So we can charge people for resources that was provided for us all for free just because of a capital Mercury retrogrades in effect based off of a capitalistic point of view, you know what I mean? So it's just like money became a corruption. Money was just used as a tool for trading to keep everything equal, you know, IOUs and so forth, whatever the case is. We don't need to go to the origin story of that. But it's just like, that's what I was talking about. Hence the analogy of us living and learning how to acclimate in this world. Shit, I had it for a second. Oh, that's right. How God made me re-intervene with my family so I can have a different perspective on how I'm going to operate, so forth, since I'm getting prepared for my next leg in the journey, being more in the world and operating with different personalities and so forth, God is teaching me how to utilize my energies properly versus irrationally and emotionally. Hence, the cosmic pause. Because I'm used to being a busybody, but that was broken down to me as, I know I got some more. I got some Febreze, the automatic sprays, and I just sprayed a moment ago. You may have heard it in a video, like, and now it's wafting over here. Oh, that smells delicious. I think it's like white flour and melon or something. But I know a lot of people say, oh, Febreze is chemicals and bad, you shouldn't be breathing. I know. I need to get more natural stuff myself. But being a smoker, I like having the house smell as lovely as possible versus, fun on weed. If you know, you know. So, it's just, it's tolling the journeys God put us through, but we're already victorious. So we need to realize that. And I'm realizing more that I need to read more scripture. And we don't follow a Holy Ghost over here either. Okay, I mean, you may have heard me say a lot of different perspectives. And that is out of love to appease to whoever follows whoever. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know my stance. You know I'm a God. We're all gods once you know who you are. And we're the guardians of the galaxy. And the women are the true goddesses out here. And they made us, the Council of Nine, if you know, you know, to protect this planet. And then we got colonized in 1492. And we've been put under a spell. They lowered our frequencies. They brought sub-zero technology to our planet. And now their jig is up, and now everything is recalibrating back to its normal frequencies. And now we're getting our true abilities back. The 3D matrix, light codes has been breaking. The orbs you've been seeing is just our ancestors out here correcting things, cleaning up the waters. But the news is not going to tell you that. They're going to act like they're enemies of ours. Project Bluebeam. Follow Rashad Jamal. He breaks us down so much more cosmically, because that's my teacher. I learned from him. So I'm not going to fake the funk. I'm a student of life. So if you want to get more details on who we are, you just follow Rashad Jamal. But a lot of these preachers and so forth want to dismiss that shit and say, oh, he's this and this because he's in jail, and all this fucking manipulation on people's narratives and shit. Oh, he's an agent and this and that. I'm like, I'm just tired of all this fucking bullshit. The man's preaching fucking truth nuggets. Let the man preach his truth nuggets. Let him get home and unite with his fucking family and stop degrading people, man. It's all about unity and shit. And all these people doing podcasts and, throwing dirt on the man's name, manipulating his message and shit. And all I want to see is everybody, us kings and goddesses, come together and just reunite this planet the way the original contract was. But me, I think high in the sky, pie in the sky type of shit. Too optimistic. But it is what it is. It's getting about 30 minutes in, so I think I want to wrap this up. Oh, and boundaries, yeah. And listen. Baby Jays. Baby fucking Jays. I don't even think I want to talk about love, but since I guess it popped up in my head. Freya Ray. I believe I already talked to you about this before. Sometimes I'm just lost for words because it's like you're cool as fuck. But the word on the street is that you're just a manipulator. And now, since I'm gone, now you want some attention again. The same thing Megan did, right? She's love bombing me, all this shit, and want to offer me something now. And then it's just, I don't have any time for no more games. By me re-intervening with my family again and learning my my boundaries and what I will put up with and what I won't put up with. These are one of the things that I've been not ever going to put up with again. People taking my kindness for weakness and thinking I'm just something sweet. I ain't nothing sweet. Please know and believe that. And if you don't believe it, stop hiding, please. I am tired of getting on my besties channels, all seeing Isis Oracle. I believe I got your name right properly. I was on her chat earlier, and some punk was on there talking big trash, and I fell for the bait, and I just did my little Doogie Howser type and just letting that scammer know that I will beat his ass or her ass for fun. I believe it was a dude talking all tough Tony because I wouldn't whoop a woman's ass. You know what I'm saying? I just said that because I didn't know the name. But either or, going back and forth, and I was focusing on my bestie. She was just dropping jewels about, hey, I'm rising, and people are salty that I'm rising, and I am who I am, and they just can't stand the transparency radiating off my body. And then these haters in the comment section want to get me off course. I was still on course, but I was multitasking before I had to go to the hospital and so forth. So it was just a very agitating day. And then, we already know, you know what I mean? Just, we're not doing no more false promises either. If you say you're going to do something and then you don't follow all the way through, you're fired. You literally are fired. I know God orchestrates everything the way it's supposed to be intentionally, but I ain't dealing with nobody that is about God's mission. And they know I'm about my freedom and so forth, and then playing games with my time. And then giggling like it's nothing, and it's not a big deal. So all these people that want to say one thing and not follow through, you're cut. Okay, you showed me once who you are. I'm not going to give you a second chance. And that goes for anybody. Unless if you truly rebuke and God lets me know that you really got that cleansed soul, which I will feel from the jump. I can feel heavy energies, manipulative energies. It's just a gift of mine, another spiritual inheritance that I'm receiving, another upgrade. So it's hence earlier this evening, it was just a lot of energies I was feeling with family. I was like, man, thank God. And not all family feels like this. So that's what I'm working on now, too. I'm getting back out in the public, and God's giving me different perspective and showing me who's ratting themselves out and yada yada. So it's a fun, tolling, and draining adventure. But God is the grand orchestrator, so I'm just following the divine, right? And my ancestors and all that. So it's just so much I'm seeing. And what gets me frustrated, especially when I want clarity and ask people for questions, and then they just turn away and switch the subject real quick, it doesn't help their case at all. And then they want to have the audacity to call me crazy. And I told my family today, I was like, I'm a genius. Just look around. People know I'm a genius. I didn't need no degrees and certificates on the walls and bada bing. I'm connected. So people are just super salty that they spent half of their life in school to get these degrees and yada yada, and then they're looking at me with my hair half cocked and shit, super surprised, wondering where my intelligence came from and how did I know that. I don't look like I'm supposed to know what I know type of shit, judging a book by its cover, just totally going against everything God told us not to do. So they want to control narratives so they can attempt to sleep better at night, but my ancestors ain't letting none of that happen. We're exposing everybody that's fake out here. So if you can't help me expose who's been behind all this bullshit, and you just want to laugh and giggle, and then when God shows you exactly that you've been laughing at his anointed, and then when everything becomes tangible, you guys are going to feel even shittier. There's not even going to be a word for it. You're just going to have to watch, or like a lot of people are becoming suicidal, which I don't even believe anyone should do. All right, I'm here about love, standing on a love foundation. But there's a lot of energies out here saying people just can't live with themselves seeing me be successful. And if that's the case, I'm going to be on your TV screen every day. And if your loved ones are sitting next to you, Garfield eyeballed with the popcorn lips looking at me every day, then love it. I hope you love it. Well, we're 34 minutes, 32 seconds in, 34. If you know, you know, 77. So we're just going to end it on that. I love each and every one of you that's actually rocking with the boy and supporting the boy. And let's continue changing the frequencies every day and just being ourselves, our honest selves, our truthful selves. Not no highlight selves, hiding in the closet selves, changing the narratives of people's selves. Confirmation, bitches. Just be yourself and be authentic and watch how magical your life becomes. And please don't listen to these 3D indoctrinated Matrix NPC players that have the audacity to tell you how you should live your life when you look at their life and they're miserable, but they supposedly have more money than you all, right? And they're still looking more miserable because you're spiritually wealthy and they can't stand that. So keep on being you, shining, and you'll watch who gravitates to you. All right, love you all. Mwah. Stay sexy and stay beautiful and happy, whatever days you may happen to land on this. You take cares.